Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Sorry to be so serious in the past video, but I want to just make this. I want to state this and keep the record straight. So, I know John Zherka. I could talk about Mason Williams for some time, but I want to just explain something in this video. Hold on, everybody. Okay, so I want to specifically talk about John Zherka and me, and I'm going to mention Mason Williams and some of my other friends. I also want to mention them as well. Just give me a second, everybody. The system's loading. It's driving me up a wall. Okay. The thing is, I was in Europe. I did stuff for the Ivy League universities. Meaning I did research and development. I was in graduate school. When I was not in graduate school, I was in undergraduate school. There are things that I had to do for foreign language when I took courses when I went from the state university or the city university over to the private schools. John Zherka and I went to those universities. We cannot lie about that in front of our relatives. So some of my relatives had to explain to me that some of my relatives are from the Cantisano and Zingrillo family. They had to explain that to me over in Europe. Those are my relatives' other names. And this is why I'm trying to not play games, because John Zherka's relative is from the Zangrillo family, and he doesn't play games with those people. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to bring up with the Holy Scriptures. You're playing games with some heavy hitters, and you know who I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to say this, Christine Kardashian, and the same thing with Mrs. Hilton's relatives. Christine, you have things that are in your name that are not allowed to be in John Zherka's name, that is not allowed to be in my name. There are people out there, Christine Kardashian, that I have told you many times since childhood, and John Zherka's relatives have told you this as well. Do not play games with my relatives in Europe. I have warned you so many times. And your cousins in the Campbell and Campbell family and the Houston family have been playing games with John Zherka and my relatives for a very long time. They don't play games in Europe, Christine. They do not play games. You have things that are put in my name, and you're putting things in John Zherka's name, and we don't play games with those people. And you think that you could just play stupid games, Kimberly. They don't play games in Europe. John Zherka and I had to go into a meeting. We had to go to a sit down with Balenciaga during a pretty bad time in the past couple of years when they had that 2008 incident with the financial institutions with the crash. John Zherka and I had to sit down with a lot of these modeling agencies and come up with certain ideas that we're not really allowed to talk about. But since you want me to talk about this, you need to understand something. When you owe debts to certain gaming commissions, when you owe debts to financial institutions, those people like Dan Pena and those relatives like David Icke, that's David Icke, the person, like Dan Pena, those people are influential people that do not play games with financial institutions. They don't play games with gaming commissions. And you think John Zherka and I you think that we're comedians. We don't even deal with those comedians anymore. We had to leave that life. Why do you think John Zherka and I did podcasting and things related to the radio business? Because we had to leave the life in Europe. We couldn't talk about that stuff. And your darling sister's relatives, Christine, because I know some of your sister's relatives or your cousin's relatives or whatever the heck you want to call it, you think that this is a joke. It's not funny with Balenciaga and Saint Laurent or any of those organizations to have financial debts. And it's not funny to me. It's not funny to John Zerka. You know, we had to sit down and people were crying back in the day. We were just kids compared to these adults. And now you're doing the same nonsense again. And it's not a funny thing. So when John Zerka and when I do this video and I say John Zerka and I worked our behinds off and we don't appreciate lying, we don't lie to the United States government, we don't lie to the French government because they're more, those people in France, Christina, or Christine, or whatever the heck you want to decide to call yourself, Mrs. Kardashian, those people in France don't play games with the people in England because they're sick and tired of their BS. 10 plus years John Zerka and I was in the French fashion events. We did stuff for 10 plus years. Do we go and bolster? We don't go and bolster. We just do our jobs and be left the heck alone. And your darling daughter's relatives think it's a comedy festival. I don't think Thomas Kardashian and any of those people in the Kardashian family would find what I'm saying to be a comedy special. It's quite insulting. So I want to get this record straight. Don't play games with John Zerka and John Gaetjens. Don't be playing games with John Zerka and John Gaetjens because we don't play games with people. We do our jobs and we want to be left the hell alone.